Now, they didn't have paper or pencils, but they had a university. Zander explained that possibility is a way of thinking and being that is available to all of us, no matter what our circumstances. The people in his father's camp were still in one of the most deprived and despicable of human circumstances, but they made a choice to live in the realm of possibility. It begins with the reality of whatever's happening at the time, and then, no matter how awful, it asks the question, well, now what's possible? Now what's possible? He reminds us that the world of possibility is always just one sentence away. One minute, these people are trapped in a nightmare, and then someone says, well, why don't we create a university? And a window into the realm of possibility is opened. He tells another story about street kids in Venezuela. Apparently, Venezuela is one of the worst places in terms of hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of homeless children on the streets doing anything that they can do to survive. Many of them are getting hooked into prostitution or drug dealing or gangs just to survive. And one day, a man who was apparently inspired by some of Zander's work thought to himself, well, why couldn't we give these homeless children in Venezuela instruments and lessons and start a symphony? A symphony. He got other people interested in supporting this idea, and a few years ago, I'm told there were over 250,000 street children across Venezuela in symphonies. Now, they get an instrument and a cell phone, and they're required to come to class and to rehearsals if they want to keep their cell phone plan. It's a good idea for parents today, here. But they give these kids a cell phone because there's no other way to reach them. They don't have a home. They don't have parents. They can't just call these kids up and tell them the rehearsals changed. They've got a concert. And as long as the kids stick to their rehearsals and come and show up, they get to keep their cell phone plan. Now, a few years ago, a group of them came apparently to Boston to the Philharmonic. And according to Zander, these kids were so passionate about their music that it made his Philharmonic, his professional symphony performers just look, apathetic in comparison. It was an amazing experience. Now imagine the rippling effect. It took one man to say, why couldn't we start a symphony to keep these poor kids off the street? And 250,000 lives were changed. And just think about how that effect is going to ripple through the generations. The sense of self-esteem, the sense of purpose, the sense of being able to do something that matters, the ability to make beauty, the ability to dance. The realm of possibility is always only one sentence away. Now, we can choose to live in a world of scarcity and competition, or we can choose a realm of abundance and possibility. This church did that when we decided about 5 years ago to start giving away our offering on Sunday morning every week to causes that are important to us, to help others. It was, at the beginning, people thought it was a crazy idea. Actually, the first year, it was rejected. And then the second year, people said, well, wait a minute, how are we going to, if all that money goes out, then how, we need that money in our coffers right here in the church. We can't just send that money out. It seemed crazy, but the second year, the church decided to take the risk and to trust that being generous would create more generosity, that generosity begets generosity. And we decided to believe in life's abundance rather than to live with a sense of fear and scarcity. We figured that we could probably raise thousands of dollars for the homeless, for the sick, for the veterans, for the hungry, for the drug addicted, for the children who need a hand in our city. And what happened? That year we raised over $150,000, mostly in $1, $5, $20 bills, for causes that helped so many different people here. Now, not only that, but what also happened was that we inspired churches all across the country over the next few years to do the same. So today there are hundreds of churches all across America raising and giving away what must amount to millions of dollars to help people from Washington, D.C. to Waikiki, from Tucson to Tuscaloosa, from Boston to Baltimore, from all over the country. Now today some of these churches are asking themselves whether they should stop giving away the collection plate in light of, their own financial hardships right here in their own congregations. It's a question that we could ask ourselves. It's easy to say when we're struggling to raise enough money for our own operating budget, when we're having to consider cutting staff or programs, to say we can't afford to give away the plate. But if there are churches watching to see what we're going to do, how we're going to respond, and they'll follow our lead. And so here's what we've decided to do. We've decided that the people hit hardest in these financial times are the most vulnerable in our society: the homeless, the widows, the sick, and the children. So we've decided that we're not going to give up on giving and on generosity. As a matter of fact, we're going to try to raise more and give away more money this year than we've ever done before. Because we need it more now than ever. And we can do it. We can do it. If we backed away from our commitment to generosity and our faith in the abundance of our world now, and we decided to give in to a mindset of fear and scarcity, then we will send a powerful signal to others to do the same. That's not our way. And that baby is telling us right now, don't do that. Made the baby cry. I don't know if that's my daughter or not. I say that we raise and give away more, by raising and giving away more this year, we send the message that in hard times we need vision and faith and a sense of possibility. There's talk that we need to stimulate the economy by more consumer spending. There's an idea that people need to go out and buy a television set or remodel their homes in order to lubricate the economy. Well, instead of buying a new television set or a computer for ourselves, why don't we buy some for the schools and for the youth centers around Tulsa? That'll stimulate the economy too. Instead of remodeling our own houses or kitchens, let's go bring some appliances and help remodel the food pantry and the day center for the homeless. That'll stimulate the economy too, and it will... And it will help the most vulnerable in our community at the same time, who need us, who are counting on us, counting on people who have the ability, thank God, to give something away, that our needs will be met, and we have a little extra to give away. What a blessing. What a joy. It was fantastic. Now, we all know that having more stuff doesn't make us more happy, right? And it certainly doesn't give our lives purpose, having more stuff. And our church, this church has to be more than just a counterbalance to religious fundamentalism in our world. It also has to challenge the secular values of materialism and individualism. Both. It's what Robert Wuthnow tells us, that the church should be offering a third way, a way that's better than fundamentalism and more life-affirming than fundamentalism, and then much more meaningful than secular materialism and individualism. We are here to create a third way, a new way. And we can't say, oh yeah, that's a nice idea. That's a great idea, Marlin. Let's do that. As soon as the economy rebounds, we'll start doing that again. Because this cannot wait. We need to do it now as an antidote to the soul-poisoning secularism that teaches people that more is better, more is always better, and that the good life can be found at the mall. We have the incredible power and the freedom to choose what the future looks like. In the Christian Gospels, Jesus tells us of the widow's mite, which we heard a little bit earlier, in which a poor widow places her last 2 copper coins into the treasury box. This is not one of those parables that's hard to figure out, hard to understand. You scratch your head, what does it mean? This is quite straightforward.